government can be no more competent to keep alive and to renew the circulation of opinions and feelings amongst a great people than to manage all the speculations of productive industry. No sooner does the government attempt to go beyond its political sphere and to enter upon this new track than it exercises, even unintentionally, an insupportable tyranny. So you don't want the federal government going beyond its constitutional powers. Because that's really bad for you as an individual. It's bad for the republic. It's bad for your freedom. Government can only dictate strict rules. The opinions which it favors are rigidly enforced, and it is never easy to discriminate between its advice and its commands. Worse still will be the case if the government really believes itself interested in preventing all circulation of ideas. It will then stand motionless and oppressed by the heaviness of voluntary torpor. So we want ideas to be circulated in this republic. It's a big one. We want to be able to exchange ideas, and that's another thing you get from association. You get to exchange ideas. We don't want the government shutting them down. We don't want the government saying you can't talk about this. So we don't want the government, and they can't with the First Amendment, dictating their opinions strictly with rules. Governments, therefore, should not be the only active powers. Associations ought, and democratic nations, to stand in lieu of those powerful private individuals whom the equality of conditions has swept away. So he's saying that's almost like a check, right? So right now we have a lot of big business and big government. Big government was directing what? Some of the tech companies and what they could say and censoring, right? That came out. So we need association with other men to be able to stand in lieu of those powerful groups, those powerful government. Small associations can give you a voice, and it's a way to keep freedom. As soon as several of the inhabitants of the United States have taken up an opinion or a feeling which they wish to promote in the world, they look out for mutual assistance, right? You want to be getting some help for it. It also gives you more confidence, right? And you also can hear someone else hear it, because if someone's promoting this over here and its message is going out repeatedly, you may start to question yourself. Wait a minute, right? So it also encourages you. They look out for mutual assistance, and as soon as they have found out each other, they combine. So find people with the same values and interests and that want to do something and achieve a purpose. Example, if you want to restore the Constitution, find people that want to restore the Constitution, get in a group, talk about the Constitution, and then figure out ways to restore it. If you want free markets, get in a group about free markets, and you can smoke cigars while you talk about free markets. So here's a good one. If you find guys who like cigars and free markets, you can smoke cigars, have deep conversations, and talk about free markets. And you can talk about all kinds of things. From that moment, they are no longer isolated men, but a power seen from afar, whose actions serve for an example and whose language is listened to. So that's good, right? If you can combine with other men, even though there's big business and big government and all these enormous forces at work, you can empower yourself through an association to stand for what's right, encourage others, encourage yourself, and it will build your confidence and build you up, and you can have a purpose, and you can have an impact in this republic that you love, in a group of men, an association. On the other hand, if you don't get in a group, how does it feel to sit there alone in your house when you know that you're just one man with a wife and two children and you're struggling, and you don't have a group, and you say, I'd like to fix that, but you're just by yourself and you've got $200 in savings, but you know 40 guys that you meet with every month that you can accomplish that goal with, you're going to be stronger, right? You're also going to feel better. So isolated and alone, harder to protect freedom, harder on yourself, harder on your health, harder for you think you'll matter. You could sit there and feel defeated and isolated and lonely. Harder for you to think you can protect others and protect the Constitution, that you can have an impact and make a difference, protect your family. Say the government told one small cigar shop owner that he had to close his shop for a certain reason, that it was dangerous to be open, so they wanted his cigar shop shut down. They didn't want any people in there. First of all, the federal government can't do that because First Amendment, but they want that. But let's say that he got 1,000 other cigar owners to complain and stand with it, or 1,000 other businesses in the area, right? You can see where this would increase his influence to have 1,000 other businessmen with him who own small businesses. One small business owner or 100 owners together. Example, 100 business owners who don't like what a mayor is doing. If the mayor says we're going to shut down your whole downtown, no business can open. Well, that's your livelihood, right? So those men may want it to be open to feed themselves and feed their wives and feed their children. So now they can stand together. So that would be an association to keep the downtown open, maybe. Or maybe they already had the association, right? The point is, isolation, you're alone. 100 business owners, small business owners together, stand a better chance of their voice being heard by the mayor, right? Look at the depression that came on when government was making people stay at home. Look at the suicides. The narrative, the information, right? If you're not getting together either and they're shutting down information, how are you going to get information that may enable you to protect the Constitution or yourself? Fights mass psychosis to have community, right? The first time I heard in the United States, and he goes into this example of that 100,000 men had bound themselves publicly to abstain from liquors, it appeared to me more like a joke than an engagement, and I did not at once perceive why these temperate citizens could not content themselves with drinking water by their own firesides. I at last understood that 300,000 Americans, alarmed by the progress of drunkenness around them, had made up their minds to patronize temperance. They acted just in the same way as a man of high rank who should dress very plainly, in order to inspire the humbler orders with a contempt of luxury. It is probable that if these 100,000 men had lived in France, each of them would singly have memorialized the government to watch the public houses all over the kingdom. So get together and you can have more effect, right? Nothing, in my opinion, is more deserving of our attention than the intellectual and moral associations of America. Political and industrial associations of that country strike us forcibly, but the others elude us our observation, or if we discover them, we understand them imperfectly, because we have hardly ever seen anything of the kind. It must, however, be acknowledged that they are as necessary to the American people as the former, and perhaps more so. In democratic countries, science of association is the mother of science. Let me say it again. In democratic countries, the science of association is the mother of science. The progress of all the rest depends upon the progress it has made. Amongst the laws which rule human societies, there is one which seems to be more precise and clear than all others. If men are to remain civilized, or to become so, the art of associating together must grow and improve in the same ratio in which the equality of conditions is increased. Pretty large, right? So if we're to remain civilized, or to become so, the art of association must grow. and improve in the same rate as equality has. So if we aren't getting together, another benefit is we're not going to remain civilized, he's saying. And organization and membership is down in clubs, groups, men's compared to decades ago. And actually government is larger and spending more than ever. So we've got government going up and organizations and associations in decline. That is not good for freedom. So if we want to remain civilized, and right now organizations, clubs, memberships are in decline and government's getting larger, that's not good for freedom. It's good if you want big government and control, but it's not good for freedom because men need to associate. And this republic only works with association. Intellectual and moral associations. Intellectual and moral associations, these are important. Groups where you talk about ideas and discuss them. The men whom you spend time with in these groups will develop you as a man if they're men of virtue. And your mind will improve if these are men of virtue. You're sharing your values and having great discussions about great ideas, exceptional ideas. They will raise questions, make you think. You can exchange ideas and information. You won't be isolated. Right now, men are suffering from what? Powerlessness. They feel depression, isolation, anxiety. They feel powerless. Now, that's not really what he's talking about, but I'm talking about it here. Are you lonely or isolated? What are you going to do about it? Do you have male friends that you really talk to? If you're a woman, do you have girlfriends that you really talk to? People need other people. So number one, it's up to you to deal with isolation, depression, loneliness. It won't be fixed sitting alone somewhere probably. Get in a group with men of virtue who share your interests and goals, where you can talk and discuss these ideals and talk at a high level. Building friendship, building camaraderie. You need it. It's harder to keep your freedom alone and isolated. Get together with other men to protect what you value and your unalienable rights. Protect your family. Protect the Constitution. You can do it in an association in a better way. Get together with other men so you can have an impact. Get together with other men to improve your morale and your mind. Camaraderie and friendship makes you a better, stronger man for most. Get together with other men to improve your mind and morale. Camaraderie and friendship makes you a better, stronger man. Men need purpose. Men can work on a purpose together and combine. All people can work on a purpose together and combine. That's not the only reason to do it. You need friendship and camaraderie. Thank you.